Hello guys, welcome to my channel PRAVAT Sir Academy. Guys, today we will discuss about international relations MCQs. 150 MCQs आम कौन करवा डिस्कसन करवा 150 प्लस MCQ आम डिस्कसन करवा से भिडियो कौन करूँ ना प्रथम शेष पर्यटन पूरा फास्ट लास्ट पर्यटन देखूँ आदि भिडियो भल लगता है निहत लाइक करेंगे शेयर करेंगे बहुत मैंने सब्सक्राइब करेंगे आपण मैंने मन रखिए ये सब जिन कौन करेंगे आपण मैंने भिडियो को पॉज करके आपण मैंने देखिए एनसर करेंगे तापर जो एनसर कले आपन बहुत सारा किसी जिन आप नॉलेज डेवलप हम आप जानीपर कौटे सठिक एनसर भी कौन ना किंतु मन रखिए स्किप करूँ ना भिडियो प्रथम शेष पर्यटन भल से भल भाव देखूँ जहाँफल कि आप ना नेट एग्जाम हो नेट हो कि पीजी एंट्रांस हो कि सिविल सर्विस हो कि असिस्टेंट कि असिस्टेंट प्रोफेसर कि आम जो लेक्चरशिप ये सब एग्जाम कौन हम आप बहुत प्रॉफिटेबल हम बुझुन कथा कौन से कौन करूँ भिडियो प्रथम शेष पर्यटन कौन करूँ पूरा फुली देखी चलतु चलते कौन करा फास्ट क्वेश्चन को ऊपर फोकस करवा बुझुन कथा फास्ट क्वेश्चन ऊपर फोकस करवा जे कौन हो ना से फास्ट क्वेश्चन देखिए या जे हु सेड इंटरनेशनल पॉलिटिक्स इज ए कंटिन्यूअस स्ट्रगल फॉर पावर किए कही जे कौन ना इंटरनेशनल पॉलिटिक्स हूँ कौन गोटे कंटिन्यूअस स्ट्रगल फॉर पावर किए कही ना आंसर है कौन बी हांस जे मॉर्गनथाउ कही कौन इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन इज ए कंटिन्यूअस स्ट्रगल फॉर पावर तापर नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन जीवा नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन कौन कहूँ नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन कहूँ या जे व्हिच ऑफ द फॉलोइंग थिंकर्स इज रिलेटेड आर रिलेटेड टू आइडियलिज्म सहित कौ थिंकर्स माने रिलेटेड जे आ भीतर देखो कौ थिंकर्स माने रिलेटेड आइडियलिज्म सहित मन रखिए केवल आमर कौन रिलेटेड है कौन ना आम इमानुएल कांट रिलेटेड तार वुड्रो विल्सन रिलेटेड तापर नॉर्मल एंजल रिलेटेड किंतु कौटा नुहंती ना एटा नुह एटा कौन ना ये कौन काज तो ना रियलिज्म सहित रिलेटेड है तापर जो नेक्स्ट कौन कहूँ ना आइडियलिस्ट थ्योरी ऑफ इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस टॉक्स अबाउट कहा ऊपर टॉक्स कहे इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन आइडियलिस्ट थ्योरी कहा ऊपर कहे ना पेसिमिस्टिक ऑफ ह्यूमन नेचर ना कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कैन बी रिड्यूस्ड बाय कोऑपरेशन हार्मोनी अमंग द नेशंस पावर पॉलिटिक्स ऑल द अबव एटा को आंसर है बी जे कॉन्फ्लिक्ट कैन बी रिड्यूस्ड बाय कोऑपरेशन हार्मोनी अमंग द नेशंस तापर नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन हु गेव द कांसेप्ट ऑफ कॉम्प्लेक्स इंटरडिपेंडेंस मॉडल ये कॉन्सेप्ट किए दी ना आंसर है कौन सी किए रॉबर्ट कोहेन आउ जोसेफ नाय तापर कौन नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन कौन ना न्यू रियलिज्म फोकस ऑन व्हाट कहा ऊपर न्यू रियलिज्म फोकस करे आंसर हूँ कौन देखु आंसर हम कौन या भितर कौन बी आउ सी हम आंसर कौन ना इंटरनेशनल आनार्की ऊपर फोकस करे आउ कौन स्ट्रक्चर ऑफ द इंटरनेशनल सिस्टम ऊपर फोकस करे ये दुईटा है कौन ना ठीक ताले आर ऑप्शन है कौन बी आउ सी ऑप्शन बी आउ सी है कौन करेक्ट तापर नेक्स्ट हु रोड द बुक पॉलिटिक्स एमंग नेशंस एटा मोस्ट फेमस बुक गोटे कहते गले एटा कहार ये बहीटा ना यहाँ है कौन ना आमर मॉर्गन थाओ ये कौन ऑप्शन ना गोटे ऑप्शन काटी दूची है ये कौन ना मॉर्गन थाओ है ये कौन मॉर्गन थाओ है कौन ना पॉलिटिक्स एमंग नेशंस बहीटा है कौन मॉर्गन थाओ लिखी तापर नेक्स्ट हु इज नोन एज द फादर ऑफ रियलिज्म फादर भाव किए जनाशुना ना हांस जे मॉर्गन थाओ रियलिज्म फादर भाव जनाशुना तापर नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन हु इज नोन एज द फादर ऑफ न्यू रियलिज्म फादर भाव किए जनाशुना ना आमर लगा केनेथ वाल्ज तापर व्हिच थ्योरी बिलीव्स ऑन 3S स्ट्रैटेजिज्म सेल्फ एंड सर्वाइवल ऊपर कौ थ्योरी विश्वास करे ना रियलिज्म विश्वास करे रियलिज्म फोकस करे कौन ना स्ट्रैटेजिज्म सेल्फ एंड सर्वाइवल तारे फाइंड आउट द इनकरेक्ट पेयर आदि कौन कोटा भूल बाछा दे परफेक्चुअल चीज ठीक अच्छी तापर आमर ठीक अच्छी एटा कौटा ना एटा हम आंसर कौन डेमोक्रेटिक पीस थ्योरी कही ना माइकल डोएल DOYEL माइकल डोएल नॉट माइकल वाल्जर भूल तो यहाँ कौन ठीक हम आंसर तार हु गेव द 14 पॉइंट स्पीच व्हिच लेड द फाउंडेशंस ऑफ आइडियलिज्म किए 14 पॉइंट स्पीच देथिला ना हला कि वुड्रो विल्सन तार नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन फाइंड आउट द इनकरेक्ट पेयर बुक्स ऑफ ऑथर विषय देछि कहला ना जेंडर इन इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन जेन डिक्शनरी ठीक अच्छी बस गोटे जिनस भूल अच्छी कह आनार्कियल सोसाइटी एटा किए लिखिला ना हेडली बुल एटा कौन ऑप्शन करेक्ट इनकरेक्ट अच्छी एटा आनार्कियल सोसाइटी किए लिखिला हेडली बुल तापर नेक्स्ट हु गेव 6 प्रिंसिपल्स ऑफ रियलिज्म 6 प्रिंसिपल किए दिथिला हु गेव मॉर्गेनथाउ गेव द 6 प्रिंसिपल ऑफ रियलिज्म एटा ला आंसर किए ना मॉर्गेनथाउ तापर नेक्स्ट व्हिच थियोरी सेज दैट international relation is conflictual the states are engaging in struggle for capturing more and more power which leads anarchy in international relation ए concept ए जो एटा को थियोरी कहूची ना एटा कहूची हमर रियलिज्म थियोरी कहूची कोन ना एइटरे कांस्टेंटली कहूची ना स्टेट माने एंगेज थांती पावर स्ट्रगल करिया पई जोटा हैला को इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन एनार्की सृष्टि करता है तापर नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन कौन होची ना इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन इज द स्टडी ऑफ रिलेशन एमंग द स्टेट्स मानक भीतर रिलेशन सब को कौन इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन तापर नेक्स्ट ला इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस वाज ब्रांच ऑफ व्हिच डिसिप्लिन पॉलिटिकल साइंस ऑफ ब्रांच तापर नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन टू मेनस्ट्रीम थियोरीज ऑफ इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन इंक्लूड टू मेनस्ट्रीम थियोरी कोटा ना रियलिज्म एंड आइडियलिज्म कौन दुईटा मेनस्ट्रीम थियोरीज ऑफ इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन तापर हुज नेम इज एसोसिएटेड विथ रियलिज्म थियोरी हांस जे मॉर्गेनथाउ तार नाटा कौन होची ना रियलिस्ट थियोरी सहित रिलेटेड वुड्रो विल्सन वाज प्रोपोनेंट ऑफ वुड्रो विल्सन कार प्रोपोनेंट ना आइडियलिस्ट थियोरी रो कहला थियोरी रो चले प्रोपोनेंट के वुड्रो विल्सन तापर इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन इज कंपैरेटिवली डैश डिसिप्लिन इज ए न्यू डिसिप्लिन इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन इज ए कंपैरेटिवली ए न्यू डिसिप्लिन आइडियलिज्म प्राइमरीली बिलीव्स इन आइडियलिज्म कहा ऊपर प्राइमरीली विश्वास करता है ना देखो ये ट्रेड आउ कोऑपरेशन ऊपर कौन करता है ना आइडियलिज्म विश्वास करता है जोटा कहला अदर ना रे आइडियलिज्म अदर ना अन्य ना कौन होला ना हमर लिबरालिज्म आइडियलिज्म अन्य ना होला कौन लिबरालिज्म तो रियलिज्म प्राइमरीली बिलीव्स इन रियलिज्म प्राइमरीली कहा ऊपर विश्वास करता है वार एंड कॉन्फ्लिक्ट एटा ला कौन आंसर वार एंड कॉन्फ्लिक्ट ट्रेड आउ कोऑपरेशन ऊपर लिबरलिज्म विश्वास करता है तापर वार इज कंसीडर्ड एज वार टाको को भाव कंसीडर करा जाए डिप्लोमेसी बाय अदर मीन्स अनवांटेड भाव भी ये करते हैं बोथ ए एंड बी हम आंसर वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 बिगेन इन द ईयर वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 टा केबे आरंभ होइतला 1939 ले कौन वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 टा आरंभ होइतला तापर नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन होची कोन ना वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 वाज ओन बाय व्हिच अलायंस ना एलिज जो एलाइड पावर थिले गोटे एलाइड पावर आ गोटे एक्सिस पावर थिले ए एलाइड पावर माने कोन करथिले जितिले कोन ना हमरो जो वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 टा तार नेक्स्ट हु वाज द प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ यूके ड्यूरिंग द वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 के थिले प्राइम मिनिस्टर ना विंस्टन चर्चिल नेक्स्ट हु वाज द लीडर ऑफ यूएसएसआर ड्यूरिंग वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 यूएसएसआर वर्ल्ड वॉर 2 समय यूएसएसआर के थिला हमर लीडर ना स्टालिन थिला लीडर स्टालिन तार नेक्स्ट डिप्लोमेसी मीन्स डिप्लोमेसी माने कोन ए मेथड ऑफ इंटरनेशनल रिलेशन ऑप्शन बी इज करेक्ट प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ यूएसए हु हेल्प्ड इन फाउंडिंग द लीग ऑफ नेशन वाज वुड्रो विल्सन द्वारा ही कहला लीग ऑफ नेशन टा फाउंडेड हेतिला 1919 रे तारे क्यूबान मिसाइल क्राइसिस इन्वॉल्व्स व्हिच 3 कंट्रीज एला कोन यूएसएसआर क्यूबा आउ यूएसए कहला यूएसएसआर क्यूबा आउ यूएसए को नहीं कि कहला ना क्यूबान मिसाइल क्राइसिस हेतिला प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ क्यूबा ड्यूरिंग द क्यूबान मिसाइल क्राइसिस फिडेल कैस्ट्रो फिडेल कैस्ट्रो थिले प्राइम मिनिस्टर ड्यूरिंग द क्यूबान मिसाइल क्राइसिस. बे ऑफ पिग्स इन्वेजन is associated with which two countries? Bay of Pigs invasion was associated with US and Cuba. USSR was founded by Vladimir Lenin. USSR was founded by Vladimir Lenin. Who was the president of USA during the Cold War began? Joseph Stalin. During the Cold War began, who was the president? Joseph Stalin. The next question, Cold War rivals were USA and USSR. USA and USSR were the Cold War rivals. Man dida dijon rivalry dijon bhitor thila. Tar next, Cold War ended with Cold War end hela kaha sito na collapse of USSR and fall of Berlin Wall. Then both A and B is correct. Then detente is the term associated with Cold War sito associated. World became days after the Cold War, end of the Cold War, the world became unipolar. That means one power, one superpower in the world, that is USA hegemony. US only at that time. USA has only power in the world. No other countries can defend USA at that time because of the fall of USSR. Then the next question is, NATO is a security alliance of North America and Europe. North America and Europe. The next question is, alliance founded to counter NATO. Which alliance was founded? That was Warsaw Pact. Who was the last president of USSR? The last president of USSR was Gorbachev. Gorbachev was considered as one of the reasons for early collapse of USSR because of his two economic reforms that were Glasnost and Perestroika. Glasnost and Perestroika. Then next question is, realignment of alliance is a result of changing interest, B political pressure. So for that, option C is correct. Then the next question is, which defines relations among the states the most interest. That means ये कहूँ कौन ना कौटा कौन रिलेशन एमंग द स्टेट्स को कौन करता है बेसी कौन करता है तांकर रिलेशन को कौन रहे डिफाइन करता है कौटा ना इंटरेस्ट मीन्स नेशनल इंटरेस्ट द रिलेशन एमंग द स्टेट को कौन है नेशनल इंटरेस्ट कौन होता है डिफाइन करता है. Which is not studied under IR political culture. It is answer. It is not studied in IR. Then the next question is, primary topic of IR is states. The states are the only actors in international politics. In international sphere, individuals cannot be studied. Only the states, their actions, their activities are studied in international relations. So for that, statism is a main focus in the sphere of international relation. International relation is a vast discipline, Which one of the following is not a determinant of foreign policy? All of the things are the determinants of foreign policy. So for that, the D will be right, none of this. एठी देखंतु एठी नॉट अच्छी माने एठी का भीतर नुह जदि सब से नॉन ऑफ दिस हम. कहला ना फॉरेन पॉलिसी इज रेयरली गाइडेड बाय डैश इन ए वर्ल्ड लेड बाय रियलिज्म. Foreign policy is rarely guided by ideology in a world led by realism. Aid is considered as a dash as a tool of aid is considered as a tool of foreign policy. Afghanistan has long served as a dash state. Afghanistan has long served as a buffer state. Buffer state. USSR was expelled from Afghanistan with the support of USA. With support of USA. Charlie Wilson is a name attached with Afghan Jihad. Charlie Wilson was the name was attached with Afghan Jihad. Korean War was an episode of the Cold War. During the time of Cold War, the Korean War was happened. Nixon has served as USA President. Nixon has served as USA President. President Kennedy the Vietnam War. Opposed Vietnam War. He opposed Vietnam War. 9/11 led to the attack of USA against Taliban regime in Afghanistan. 9/11 led to the attack of US against Taliban regime in Afghanistan. Syria is a country troubled by international interference in civil war. So for that, both A and B will be correct. Middle East is a patchwork of states. These words belong to Henry Kissinger. This word belongs to Henry Kissinger, a patchwork of states. Economic dominance is considered as tool of power in international relation, an unwanted thing. So for that, option C will be correct. Bipolar world means to having two superpower. One जो unipolar means only one power, one superpower. UN can be explained as Union of World States. That means UN can be said that United States. Its full form is United States. The Great Britain and Russia agreed to make Afghanistan a buffer state between their empires in 1893. Amnesty International was established in London by the British lawyer Peter Benson in 1961. The ANZUS Treaty between Australia, New Zealand and United States was signed in 1951. ANZUS Treaty. Then next, the Treaty of Versailles settled peace in Europe and it was signed in 1919. The Soviet Union was dissolved when Soviet Union was dissolved 1991. The disintegration or the fall of Soviet Union or USSR. The Commonwealth of Independent States was formed in 1991. The Commonwealth of Independent States was formed in 1991. Southwest Asia is popularly known as Middle East. Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, was established in 1960. OPEC was established in 1960. South Asian Association for Regional Cooperation, SAARC, consists of 8 states. Suez crisis between Egypt, France, Britain, Israel began in 1956. Suez crisis was happened in 1956. The Charter of United Nations consists of 111 articles. So 111 articles. Then the next one is British Secretary of Foreign Affairs Arthur Balfour announced British support to establish Jewish state in Palestine on 2nd October 1917. Then the next question is to cripple British communication with India, Napoleon organized military expedition to Egypt in 1798. LAIA stands for Latin America Integration Association. Latin American Integration Association. Arab League was established on 22 March 1945. On 22 March 1945. The Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty 1, SALT 1 was signed in 1972. SALT 1 was signed in 1972. The Strategic Arms Limitation Treaty 2, SALT 2 was signed in 1979. The headquarters of Asian Development Bank ADB is located in Philippines. International relations during 1948 and 1945 were characterized by multipolar system. That means so many 1948 to 1945 were characterized by multipolar system. That means so many superpowers. It was correct. ठीक थिला एटा 16 ठीक अच्छी 1648 रु 1945 रे सो मेनी सुपर पावर्स थिला बहुत गुड़िए तापर आफ्टर दैट 1991 ले हेगला यूनिपोलार ता पूर्व थिला बाइपोलार आ 1945 पूर्व थिला कोन मल्टीपोलार आ वर्तमान समय अछंती कोन मल्टीपोलार. French Revolution was occurred in 1789. World population was 1 billion in 1804. Versailles Peace Conference, that means Treaty of Versailles. Treaty of Versailles was signed in 1919. That established peace in Europe. Germany invaded Poland in 1939. Bretton Woods Conference was concluded in July 1944. ECOSOC has been established under Chapter Dash of the UN Charter. Chapter X. That means Chapter X. Part X. Economic and Social Council. That was ECOSOC of United Nations was established under Chapter 10 of the UN Charter. The book ठीक अच्छी Chapter X ठीक अच्छी Chapter X, that means Chapter 10. The book Politics Among Nations was written by Hans J. Morgenthau. United Arab Emirates UAE is a federation of 7 emirates. The International Court of Justice ICJ is located in The Hague. The Hague. German unification was occurred in 1990. German reunification was occurred in 1990. Switzerland joined the United Nations in 2002. Switzerland joined in United Nations in 2002. President de Gaulle withdrew France from NATO in 1966 रे फ्रांस कौन होगला नाटो रो विड्रो होगला पर्ल हार्बर ए यूएस naval base in Hawaiian Islands during World War II was attacked by Japan जोटा कि आमर कौन हावेन आइसलैंड रे केउटा थिला ना पर्ल हार्बर ए जो नेवाल बेसटा थिला ता ऊपर अटैक कला कि जापान 19 आमर कोडी ना वर्ल्ड वार समय 2 समय रे अकॉर्डिंग टू ब्रांड रिपोर्ट द साउथ कंसिस्ट्स ऑफ थर्ड वर्ल्ड कंट्रीज द साउथ कंसिस्ट्स ऑफ थर्ड ही गेव द कांसेप्ट द साउथ दैट मीन्स ही गेव द कांसेप्ट नॉर्थ साउथ डायलॉग and south means third world countries. In 1933 Hitler signed an agreement with Pope known as concordat Southeast Asia Treaty Association that means CETO was signed in 1954 that it was also called as SEATO. SEATO was dissolved in 1977. SEATO. North Korea invaded South Korea in 1950. Invaded means ता ऊपर कौन हम ना invaded माने होची कौन ना आमे ताकू जो आक्रमण करिबा The UN Charter in 1945 was drawn up in San Francisco. रे कहला UN Charter टा कहला सेठी कहला जो ताको साइन करा गला कोठी सान फ्रांसिस्को कोठी ना एठी यूएस रे UN Charter को बा UN हमर जेंति संविधान अछि से संविधान को कहा जाय कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन एठी कहला कहा जाय चार्टर यूनाइटेड नेशन रे चार्टर थाय बा संविधान को कहा जाय UN Charter जोटा कहला 1945 में से सान फ्रांसिस्को रे कहला साइन करा गला ओएन यंग who gave the Young Plan was an American banker. Central Treaty Organization CENTO was formed in 1955. CENTO was dissolved in 1979. माने भांगी वाला abolish हो गला. The first Hague Conference was held in 1899. In 1899 the first Hague Conference was established. NPT is is not signed Israel, India and Pakistan. These three countries didn't sign NPT. Then the next question is the book Theory and Practice of International Relations is written by Palmer and Perkins. Faroe Island is a Scandinavian state. Ronald Reagan was a presidential candidate of Republican Party in USA. The book Politics Examination again question handsome again था World War I resulted in defeat of Ottoman Empire. Modern Turkey is the successor state of Ottoman Empire. Previously it was Ottoman Empire and now it is Turkey. Which international organization is headquartered in New York City? यूनाइटेड नेशन लो हेडक्वार्टर कोड अछि ना न्यूयॉर्क सिटी रे अछि द कोल्ड वार प्राइमरी इन्वॉल्व between which two super power United States and Soviet Union that means USA and USSR कोल्ड वार टा ई दी जण भितरे हेतला द नॉर्थ अटलांटिक ट्रीटी ऑफ द NATO is a military alliance primarily involving countries from which region Europe and North America. Which country is a permanent member of United Nations Security Council with veto power? Russia. That means 5 countries, 5 superpower ଆମର ୟୁଏସଏ, ରଷିଆ, ଚାଇନା, ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସ, ଚାରି ପାଞ୍ଚ ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସ ଆଉ କିଏ ଆମର ଆଉ ହେଲା ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସ ଆଉ ହେଲା ଜର୍ମାନୀ ଏତିକି ହେଲେ କ'ଣ ନା ସରି ୟୁଏସଏ ରଷିଆ ତାପରେ ଫ୍ରାନ୍ସ, ଚାଇନା ଆଉ ହେଲା କିଏ ନା ଇଂଲଣ୍ଡ ବା ବ୍ରିଟେନ୍ ଯେଉଁଟା ୟୁକେ ହେଲା। ମୁଁ ଭୁଲରେ ମିଷ୍ଟେକ୍ରେ କହିଦେଲି କେଉଁଟା ଆମର ଜର୍ମାନୀ। The European Union (EU) was established to promote economic and political integration among the European countries. Which international agreement aimed to combat climate change by reducing greenhouse gas emissions? Paris Agreement. The term Belt and Road Initiative (BRI) is associated with which country's foreign policy? China's foreign policy is Belt and Road Initiative. Which city is considered as the diplomatic capital of the world? Geneva is considered as the diplomatic capital of the world. The principle of collective security is central to the functioning of which international organization? Functioning of United Nations. The term soft power refers to a country's ability to influence others through soft power means cultural and diplomatic means, not through hard things, that means military and so on. The India-Pakistan conflict over Kashmir is an example of territorial dispute. Which war led to the division of Korea into North Korea and South Korea? Korean War divided North Korea and South Korea. The Falkland Island, that means Malvinas, conflict was fought between which two countries? United Kingdom and Argentina. The next question is, the conflict in Syria has resulted in a significant refugee crisis primarily affecting which region? Europe. The Israeli-Palestine conflict is primarily over religious and territorial issues. ऊपर ही कही क्राइसिसटा जो कन्फ्लिक्टा चलुଛି काटा इज्राएल और पैलेस्टाइन ऊपर. The Suez Crisis in 1956 involved military actions by which countries against Egypt? आंसर होची कोटा ना बी, फ्रांस एंड यूनाइटेड किंगडम. आपण माने कोन करिवे ना पॉज करिकी टिके समय पॉज कर देबे, पॉज कर देई कोन करिवे तापर आंसरटा कर दियंतु. बार जेतु टी आंसर देई दिछि ये नाही आपण माने कोन करू बारंबार तो प्रैक्टिस कर देबे. The conflict in Ukraine involving Crimea has strained relations between Ukraine and which neighboring countries? Russia. The Rwandan genocide in 1994 resulted in mass killings primarily between which two ethnic groups? Hutus and Tutsis. The Iraq-Iran war occurred during which decade? 1980s. रे कहला Iran-Iraq war गठला. The conflict known as the First Gulf War was triggered by Iraq's invasion of which neighboring country? Kuwait. Which organization is responsible for regulating international civil aviation? The International Civil Aviation Organization. The World Bank provides financial assistance primarily for health and education initiatives. Health and education initiatives. Which organization focuses on promoting global trade by reducing barriers and tariffs? World Trade Organization. The International Atomic Energy Agency IAEA oversees the use of nuclear technology to ensure non-proliferation of nuclear weapons. It is the answer. The International Court of Justice ICJ is located in which country, which city? Na The Hague. Which organization is responsible for coordinating humanitarian aid and disaster relief efforts worldwide? World Food Program. Which organization is dedicated to promoting sustainable development and environmental conservation? United Nations Environmental Program UNEP. The G20 Group of 20 is an international forum that brings together leaders from 20 largest economies in the world. 20 largest economies in the world. Which organization played a key role in the eradication of smallpox worldwide? World Health Organization. The organization of the petroleum exporting committees, the countries, OPEC, aims to coordinate policies related to oil producing and pricing. Are related to OPEC. Diplomatic immunity grants foreign diplomats protection from criminal prosecution in their host country. The Monroe Doctrine declared that the Western Hemisphere was under the sphere of influence of which country? United States. Which term describes the practice of maintaining political, economic and military strength in order to influence and control other countries? Hegemony. Which term describes? The hegemony describes the practice of maintaining political, economic, military strength in order to influence and control over the other countries. The concept of neutrality in foreign policy refers to non-alignment with any military alliances. Track 2 diplomacy refers to unofficial efforts to promote dialogue and peace building between military alliances. The trade embargo refers to a policy that restricts economic transactions with a specific country. Detent refers to a period of improved relations and reduced tension. It was happened during the time of Cold War, when the Cold War became a silent war and its destruction became low, and the Cold War situation was totally collapsed. That time was declared as detent. That means improved relations between US and USSR, and the tensions between these countries became reduced. The concept of soft balancing in international relations refers to soft balancing means non-military means of countering a dominant power. Public diplomacy involves the use of cultural exchanges and media outreach. The term containment in foreign policy refers to preventing the use of communism or other ideology. Preventing ଯେତେବେଳେ କୌଣସି ଆଇଡ଼ିଓଲୋଜି ବା ଅନ୍ୟ କୌଣସି ଆଇଡ଼ିଓଲୋଜି ଥିବ ତାକୁ ପ୍ରିଭେଣ୍ଟ କରାଯିବ। ପ୍ରିଭେଣ୍ଟ କରିକି ଏତେ କ'ଣ ବନ୍ଦ କରିଦିଆଯିବ ଆଇଡ଼ିଓଲୋଜିକାଲ ସ୍ପ୍ରେଡ୍। ମାନେ ଏଇଟା ହେଲା କ'ଣ ହେଇଥିଲା କୋଲ୍ଡ ୱାର୍ ସମୟରେ ହେଇଥିଲା। କମ୍ୟୁନିଜିମ୍ ଯେତେବେଳେ ସ୍ପ୍ରେଡ୍ ହେଉଥିଲା ସେତେବେଳେ କ'ଣ ହେଲା କମ୍ୟୁନିଜିମ୍କୁ ବନ୍ଦ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ୟୁଏସ୍ଏସ୍ ଦ୍ୱାରା କ'ଣ ହେଉଥିଲା କମ୍ୟୁନିଜିମ୍କୁ ସ୍ପ୍ରେଡ୍ କରାହେଉଥିଲା। କମ୍ୟୁନିଜିମ୍ ସ୍ପ୍ରେଡ୍କୁ ବନ୍ଦ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଟୁ ଷ୍ଟପ୍ କରିବା ପାଇଁ ଆକୁ କ'ଣ ହେଲା ଏଇ କଣ୍ଟେନମେଣ୍ଟ ପଲିସି ଆଣିଥିଲେ କିଏ ନା ଆମର ଜେଫ୍ କେନେଡି। ତାପରେ जे द यूनाइटेड नेशंस सिक्योरिटी काउंसिल हैज हाउ मेनी परमानेंट मेंबर्स विथ वीटो पावर्स 5 परमानेंट मेंबर्स 10 नॉन परमानेंट मेंबर which international organization is responsible for coordinating responses to global health emergencies WHO World Health Organization. The International Court of Justice has jurisdiction over war crimes, genocide and crime against humanity. International Criminal Court. The United Nations General Assembly is composed of representatives from all United Nations member states. The World Trade Organization WTO promotes international trade through trade negotiation and dispute resolution. द्वारा ही कौन करता है से ना इंटरनेशनल ट्रेड को बढ़ावा करता है. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights was adopted by the International United Nations in which year? 1948. The concept of responsibility to protect R2P emphasizes the international community's duty to intervene in cases of humanitarian crisis. The World Bank and International Monetary Fund are headquartered in which city? Washington DC, USA. Which international agreement aims to regulate global trade in endangered species? CITES, Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species. The concept of global governance refers to the exercise of authority and coordination of policies at the international level. Which international organization focuses on promoting economic cooperation and development among the European countries? European Union. The group of 7 consists of world's major advanced economies and meets annually to discuss economic and political challenges. Which international organization regulates global banking and monetary policies? International Monetary Fund. It regulates global banking and monetary policies. The concept of economic sanctions involves restricting trade and financial transactions to punish non-compliant nations. Who punish kariya pai. Which trade agreement involves Canada, Mexico and United States? NAFTA, North American Free Trade Agreement. The Dayton Agreement was a peace accord that ended the conflict in Bosnia and Herzegovina. The Camp David Accords in 1970 resulted in a peace agreement between which two countries? Israel and Egypt. Camp David Accords. The Oslo Accords were aimed at resolving the conflict between Israel and Palestine. Oslo Accords, Israel and Palestine. The concept of human security emphasizes the protection of individuals from all forms of violence and insecurity. The United Nations peacekeeping operations aim to facilitate conflict resolution and peace building efforts. The Millennium Development Goals MDGs were succeeded by which Global Development Agenda? SDG. It was succeeded by SDG. First it was MDG, then after that it was SDG. आर पीरियड थिला केते 2000 रु 2015 आर हला 2015 रु 2030. The concept of foreign aid refers to financial assistance provided by governments and organizations to support development projects in other countries. Other countries the development projects को support କରିବା ପାଇଁ କ'ଣ କରିଥାନ୍ତି foreign aid ଦେଇଥାନ୍ତି. Which international organization is known for its efforts to eradicate poverty and hunger worldwide? World Bank. Poverty ଆଉ hunger को world କରିବା ପାଇଁ କିଏ responsible ନା World Bank. The term brain drain refers to the immigration of highly skilled individuals from developing countries to developed countries. That means जे आम डेभलपिंग कंट्री रु कौन करे सब जिन को नहीं कौटी की ना डेभलप्ड कंट्री को नहीं जावा. Which international treaty defines the rights of refugees and obligations of host countries? Convention relating to the status of refugees. The concept of universal jurisdiction allows states to prosecute individuals for violations of international law regardless of where the crime was committed or the nationality of the perpetrator. Which international organization is responsible for prosecuting individuals accused of war crimes, genocide, crime against humanity? एटा कोटा सहित रिलेटेड ना ICC, International Criminal Court. The concept of responsibility to protect, एटा तो ऑलरेडी जाइछि humanitarian emergencies. The Geneva Conventions primarily address the treatment of prisoners of war and civilians in the armed conflicts. The term trade deficit refers to imports exceeding exports. जते import टा कौन ही जाए export टारू कौन ही जाए अधिका ही जाए माने बाहर आमदानी टा अधिका ही जाए रप्तानी टा बहुत कम है जाए. This is called trade deficit. The International Monetary Fund provides financial assistance to countries facing economic crisis. जो country सब economic crisis face करते से सब country को International Monetary Fund IMF कौन करियो financial assistance दबो. Which economic theory emphasizes the role of government intervention in regulating markets? Keynesian economics. Keynesian economics कौन होची ना गवर्नमेंट इंटरफेरेंस को कौन करची अधिक गुरुत्व दोची कोडी मार्केट को रेगुलेट करिया पाई. Globalization refers to expansion of world trade and cultural exchange. The group of 20 represents the world major economy and discusses the issues related to economic and financial stability ऊपर discussion करते G20. The Rohingya refugee crisis primarily affects which country in Southeast Asia? Myanmar. The Paris Agreement aims to address the issue of climate change. The concept of cybersecurity refers to protecting information system and networks from cyber threats. The Sustainable Development Goal SDGs address global challenges related to economic development, social inclusion, environmental sustainability, etc. The concept of fake news refers to news articles that are intentionally fabricated and misleading. This is called fake news. You have also knew about this. Which international organization is responsible for coordinating telecommunications standards and regulations? ITU, International Telecom Union. The Helsinki Accords in 1975 addressed issues related to arms control and human rights. Helsinki Accords. The Treaty of NPT, Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons Treaty, aims to prevent nuclear proliferation and disarmament. ऊपर कौन होता है एबे कितने हैं 1968 रे साइन करा है NPT है ला ये कौन होता है जो अस्त्र शस्त्र परमाणु अस्त्र शस्त्र कौन होला तार जो ये को बंद कर दवा पाई कौन होला निरस्त्रीकरण ऊपर भी फोकस करथिला. The International Labour Organization ILO promotes labor rights and decent work conditions worldwide. The Arab Spring refers to a series of protests of and upsprings in which region? Middle East and North Africa. The Treaty of Lisbon introduced institutional reforms to enhance the functioning of which international organization? EU. EU टा कहाँ से related? ना जो Treaty of Lisbon से तो related. Which international agreement established the World Trade Organization WTO to regulate the global trade? ना GATT. General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade. एटा फास्ट थिला कौन ना GATT थिला ता परवर्ती समय कौन हला ना WTO World Trade Organization हला. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO is an intergovernmental alliance involving countries from which region? Central Asia. Region लोग होता है कंट्री माने इस Shanghai Cooperation Organization ले भीतर इन्वॉल्व होचंती. The concept soft power international relation emphasizes the use of economic control influence to shape the opinions and policies. कौन सी हार्ड पावर मिलिटारी फोर्स कि कौन सी इकोनॉमिक पावर ए सब जिन ऊपर कौन करिया आम प्रयोग करिया गोला बारूद कि ए सब जिन ऊपर प्रयोग करिया आम कौन करिया सब पावर माने कौन हला केते से कल्चरली कौन करछि पावरफुल हे पड़छि कल्चरली आइडियोलॉजिकली. ताले गाइस आम कौन हला एबे सरी गला कौन द एंड हे गला एठी द एंड एति कौन करेंगे एति क्वेश्चन को आपण मैंने कौन करेंगे बारंबार कौन करते रिभाइज करंतु हैला ताको कौन करंतु बारंबार रिभाइज करंतु ए सब जिनस बहुत आप इंपोर्टेंट डिफरेंट ये यही सब जिन सहित रिलेटेड थी आउ बहुत सारा जिन जमी सार्क धरतु सार्क आसला सार्क देखिए एधर केतटा मेम्बर अच्छी कौन आप पढ़देवे कौन सार्क विषय पढ़देवे ओपेक अच्छी ओपेक होल विषय पढ़देवे हेल्ले कौन आपने बहुत सारा किसी जिन जाने आज वीडियो भल लगे निहत लाइक करेंगे शेयर करेंगे बहुत मतलब सब्सक्राइब करेंगे कारण आप गोटे गोटे लाइक ही आम मानक आहरी उत्साहित करता है कौन आहरी किसी नुआ नुआ ये टाइप वीडियो आपने आने आउ निहाती भाव में कौन करेंगे निहाती लाइक करेंगे आपण को टॉपिक रे चाहूँ कौन ना नेक्स्ट वीडियो आसापी से सब जिन कौन करेंगे आप कमेंट माध्यम जनइबे. धन्यवाद.